The placement of Chiron, the wounded healer, in the fourth house during a synastry overlay is one of the most profound and sensitive indicators of a karmic contract between two individuals. In astrology, the fourth house represents the imam sili, the deepest point of the chart, signifying our roots, ancestry, emotional foundations, and the private self. When one person's Chiron falls into another's fourth house, the relationship transcends mere companionship and enters the realm of deep soul work and psychological excavation. The nature of the karmic debt. Karmically, this placement suggests a shared history involving the concept of home or belonging. It often indicates that in a previous cycle of experience, these two souls may have been part of the same domestic unit, perhaps as parent and child, siblings, or displaced refugees, where a fundamental lack of safety occurred. The Chiron person acts as a living catalyst for the house person's buried childhood wounds. There is an unspoken agreement here. The house person provides the container, the home/psyche, while the Chiron person brings the medicine, the pain, and its subsequent cure. This isn't a light-hearted connection. It feels heavy, ancient, and undeniably meant to be, often characterized by an immediate sense of familiarity that is both comforting and deeply unsettling. The activation of the internal child. When the Chiron person enters the house person's fourth house, they inadvertently walk through the front door of the house person's private emotional sanctuary. They see the cracks in the foundation that the house person usually hides from the world. For the house person, this can feel like an emotional stripping. The Chiron person's very presence may trigger memories of early rejection, domestic instability, or a feeling of not belonging within one's own lineage. The Chiron person doesn't even have to do anything specific to cause this. Their energy naturally vibrates at the frequency of the house person's most tender, unhealed spots. Conversely, the Chiron person finds themselves oddly preoccupied with the house person's security. They may feel a compulsive need to fix the house person's life or provide the nurturing that they themselves may have lacked. This creates a feedback loop where the two are tethered by the mutual need to heal the unmothered parts of their souls. Navigating the wound of the root. The primary challenge of this synastry is the risk of emotional flooding. Because the fourth house is the base of the entire natal chart, any transit or overlay here affects the individual's total stability. If the Chiron person is unevolved or unaware of their own pain, they may project their homelessness onto the house person, making the house person feel responsible for their emotional salvation. However, the higher manifestation of this placement is nothing short of transformative. This is the end of the lineage karma. These two people have come together to stop ancestral patterns of trauma. By acknowledging the pain that surfaces, they can deconstruct the toxic inherited behaviors passed down through generations. The Chiron person provides the perspective needed to see the wound, while the house person provides the safe space to sit with it. The healing transformation. Over time, the relationship can evolve into a sanctuary. The initial discomfort gives way to a rare form of intimacy where neither party feels the need to perform. They become soul family. The karmic implication is that they are clearing the slate for future iterations of their souls, ensuring that the concept of home is no longer associated with pain, but with conscious healing. They learn that home is not a physical structure or a biological lineage, but a state of being where one's vulnerabilities are witnessed without judgment. It is a slow, often tearful process, but it results in an unshakable emotional foundation that neither could have built alone. When Chiron falls into the fourth house in synastry, the zodiac sign presiding over that house cusp determines the specific flavor of the ancestral wound and the method by which healing is administered. Chiron in the fourth house, sign by sign. Aries, the wound centers on the right to exist and take up space. The house person may have felt their presence was a burden in childhood. Healing comes through shared bravery and physical independence within the home. Taurus. This involves a wound of scarcity or instability. There may be a history of financial or physical insecurity. The Chiron person helps the house person realize their inherent worth is not tied to material pillars. Gemini. A wound of the unspoken. Healing involves addressing childhood secrets or feeling unheard by family. The relationship thrives on verbalizing deep-seated emotions that were previously taboo. Cancer. The classic mother wound. This is the most sensitive placement, dealing with a fundamental lack of nurturing. The karmic goal is for both to learn how to parent themselves and each other authentically. Leo, the wound of the invisible child. The house person may have felt they had to perform to be loved. The Chiron person provides a stage where the house person can be seen without the costume of ego. Virgo, a wound of perfectionism. Home was likely a place of high criticism or rigid rules. Healing occurs when the Chiron person helps the house person accept the messiness of domestic life. Libra, the wound of the peacekeeper. The house person may have sacrificed their identity to maintain domestic harmony. The relationship forces a confrontation with the ugly truths hidden behind a polite exterior. Scorpio, the wound of betrayal or deep loss. This is a highly psychic, intense placement. Healing involves traversing the underworld of the family shadow and reclaiming personal power from old traumas. Sagittarius, a wound of displacement or dogmatic belief. The house person may have felt like an alien in their own culture or family. The Chiron person helps them find a spiritual home that transcends geography. Capricorn, the wound of the father or excessive responsibility. The house person may have grown up too fast. The Chiron person encourages them to let go of the burden of the legacy and find emotional softness. Aquarius, the wound of the outcast. The house person's family may have made them feel wrong for being different. The Chiron person validates their eccentricity, creating a home that feels like a laboratory for the soul. Pisces, the wound of boundaries or the martyr. There may be a history of addiction or victimization in the family line. Healing comes through spiritual surrender and establishing healthy emotional perimeters. Subscribe to Karmic Synastry channel for profound guidance on your relationships.